Wii U version is hardest to 100%. Despite later versions of the game adding way more content on top of what was already a lot, the Wii U version ironically still remains as the hardest one to fully complete. And why? Well, as I've been alluding to earlier in this series, the difficulty is completely fucking busted unfair in the Wii U version. Now, the story mode itself, not a big deal really. However, the adventure map, the normal adventure map in Legends, and at least especially Definitive, I know for sure, is fully doable by anybody. It's a nice little breeze and you get to unlock stuff and have fun. The Wii U version one though, that was the only map that they had at release, and I guess, they want that one to last and fucking kick your ass. This is the only version of the game where grinding is like a requirement. I mean, holy shit, are you fucking screwed if you try just going into some of these maps and you don't know entirely what you're doing, or your warrior's just maybe too weak or something, and levels usually aren't like a big factor in mattering to things much. Like, a lot of the map squares are just like fucking impossible to get max rank on. Yeah, they really want that to last, and that's not even talking about the DLC. The DLC. Now, even without the DLC, people already considered Hyrule Warriors, the original version, to be one of the hardest games they've tried 100%ing in. But despite that, eventually you'll get high enough, you'll get used to the game enough to be able to rank up and like do everything in the base Legends map. Like, you eventually should get there and get the hang of it. And then the Master Quest DLC came out, and that's actually no big deal. Doing the Master Quest DLC, I guess they reorganized stuff, and like, it feels the most like playing a definitive version map where it's like mostly a nice breeze. And by the way, that's the only way you can get Sia and Fogos and Wizro's other weapons. They never fucking tell you that, so you're just screwed with them if you don't do that. But then, man, the fucking Twilight and Majora's Mask maps, I don't know what they were thinking. These ones are just fucking stupid and not fun. Now, again, it's no problem in the later versions of the game, maybe, but the Wii U version, fucking shit. Even if you're max 255 level, you'll just barely do some of the fucking challenges on this one. I'm not fucking kidding. You could see how other people manage to do it who have this version. It's stupid and insane, and thank goodness later versions changed the way the ranking counts work and just completely readjusted the difficulty altogether so it's actually fun. The Wii U version is a jank, and no, this is still not the last time we're talking about it in the series. Lack of Smash content. So, what you're seeing right now is the Age of Calamity Spirits event. And that's because even though it's not the first Hyrule Warriors game, this is all what we have in Smash with something Hyrule Warriors in the name. And have you ever noticed how weird that is? Like, for a game based on a first-party franchise that was released 3 times and was long supported, has nothing in Smash, like, where's that awesome soundtrack? Not a single thing is from here. Yeah, it's really starting to make you think, huh? Like, I mean, surely they could have gotten something. Like, they own most of the stuff for these characters, and it was developed by Koei Tecmo, but they're working very closely with them, as seen with that Spirit event. In fact, Koei's closeness is one of the reasons why people were so sure that Ryuhei Ubusa was going to be an Ultimate. And Lana herself, she was actually kind of a popular request during the Smash 4 DLC days, but then that kind of died out by the time Ultimate pre-release stuff was happening. And yeah, now it's just like a completely faded out whimper that everybody's forgotten about and moved on. And oh, poor Lana. I've been talking so much shit about her this whole series. But yeah, it's just odd. I don't know why there wasn't any stuff added from this game into Smash Brothers. Similarities to Link and Soul Calibur 2. Yeah, remember how Link was in that series? Anyway, something I've noticed is that a way the gameplay and moveset for Link and Hyrule Warriors feels a lot, or just reminds me a lot of the things you would do in Soul Calibur 2, like, especially the dash attacking and stuff, like, more so than in Smash Brothers, and, Like, the way he switches out weapons feels more akin to how it's like in Soul Calibur, which also gives Link a wide variety of weapons to choose from before doing battle and during the game. And his crazy bomb throwing reminds me more of Soul Calibur 2 Link, and he even has like a throw move in that game where he like rides you like a horsey and kind of alludes to the Epona weapon, no? I mean, like, it's a really cool kind of obscure thing that they maybe looked into inspiration from. Something that's surprisingly still kind of obscure for Link that I feel like nobody really talks about anymore. And I don't know, can you just appreciate how hyped that would be if Link were added to Soul Calibur today? Going a bit off topic, like, imagine like the fucking reactions and stuff. And there's that cool ass like commercial trailer that came out of Link like receiving a letter from it that feels like a trailer that came out today. And it's good stuff. Linebeck, Byrne, and Malon. So earlier in this Iceberg, I talked about Foddy, Happy Matt Salesman, and Groose, and this is a similar idea, but of just the next three characters that seem to be the most requested, and by like a wider margin. Now, there are obviously other characters, but they can maybe be talked about just a bit later, at least my personal picks. But yeah, Linebeck, a lot of people thought he was coming when they were doing Phantom Hourglass and Spear Checks DLC, but of course we ended up getting Toon Zelda, which I think was the best choice in the end. I really enjoyed her as a character, but Linebeck did at least get a little bit of a row, and plus some counterpoints to him that I'm sure other people, or at least, I mean, the devs probably thought too, was that Tetra is already kind of like the Yoho pirate character, and that's probably pretty much how Linebeck would have been. I guess Linebeck does have like the ship, but that's kind of what Link's train weapon ended up being, and there's also King Daphne's, but I guess like an extra character with like a combination of them all wouldn't hurt much. And then Byrne, people were kind of half expecting him to come, more of like a hopeful thing, because he's just like a more like well-liked and cool character from Spirit Checks. I would have liked him more than Linebeck, but again, I still think that even though if he looks cool, Toon Zelda is probably still like the best choice, and Byrne at least could have given like a more unique moveset. Let's see how many more times I pronounce that name differently. And then Malon's kind of the odd one out for this bunch, but definitely the most unique idea one, being that a lot of people thought she could have been a really fun extra character to add, and she's definitely probably the most like well-liked and important character in Ocarina of Time outside of the Sages and Triforce holders and Navi. And yeah, they could have given her a really unique moveset and represent Lon Ranch, and I guess also maybe Romani, like she could have took inspiration from her Majora's Mask counterparts as like extra move potential, like the arrow and aliens and such. And I don't know if they would have used the kid and adult version, but hey, would have been cool. I mean, after all, Malon is pretty important to the whole timeline, considering a lot of people believe that her and Link ended up getting together, and Twilight Princess Link is like their descendant, and you know the rest. Lana's other weapons are bad due to her not being the owner, so this is really weird sounding entry, and has to do with Lana again, and let me try to explain it. So let's start with the spear, and this is obviously very Kokiri based, and I actually got the inspiration from this entry from some random comment where people were discussing her weapons, and yeah, I know this is really opinion sounding, but the overall census on Lana is that her tome is fine, but then the other two weapons, if you like them, that's perfectly fine, good for you, but a lot of people usually consider them to be lower tier weapons, if not bottom tier, and when I saw somebody like asking like what happened like with the spear, like the simple answer was what happened? Well, Lana isn't Saria, and that gave me an interesting thought. It's that she sucks at using this because she's not meant to be the owner of it, and if Saria were in the game, then she would do a better job. I mean, she's like summoning the Great Deku Tree and stuff, and it's like, girl, you're not Kokiri, come on. Look how cool Saria looks here too. I kind of want her in the game now. And then the Summoning Gate. So this one seems like it should make a bit more time, because Summoning Gate, she's the Guardian of Time. We're going to talk about next after this too. So why is this one so bad? Well, it seems like the genes for this one more so got passed on to Sia, who's actively using it, unlike Lana. I mean, the final version of this weapon is even based on the ones that Sia summons and opens up, and look at her summoning out these bosses, and she doesn't own these bosses, she's just trying to mimic Sia, and doing a bad job at it, and these bosses, even if they're miniature versions, don't care about her. Look, she doesn't have any control. You even see it in the end, where she runs away from all the cuckoos coming out, and No wonder a lot of people don't like this weapon. I personally think it's the worst one in the game. I know that last one was a bit of a stretch, but the spear is at least a more interesting thought, and hey, it gives some peace of mind to why these are so awful to use. Guardian of Time full lore. So, have you ever noticed that we barely hear anything about Guardian of Time despite her being so important sounding and being what Lana and Sierra once wore, and you get this whole 3D model of her as a full-on alternate costume for the two, despite the fact that you don't really see her, like, not even in the cutscenes, just like a silhouette. And I mean, she kicks off the entire plot too by being the quote-unquote Guardian of Time, looking over everything and getting the horny for Link. And yeah, it's just odd that, like, despite all of this, we don't really know anything about her, and in fact, because of this, a lot of people actually say that she might as well just be the goddess of time and see it as the same thing. But even like the goddess of time, we only kind of like hear little bits of throughout the whole franchise and don't know anything about either. And it's just interesting, and it would be cool to see this more developed on. But as I'm going to talk about next later, who really knows if we'll ever see a sequel or more info or anything. But yeah, with that, I guess I'll see you next time.